If you've ever wondered how to become a first-time mechanic, Bogi and Faye will show you how you can purchase an inexpensive vehicle to learn some of the automotive basics. This Jetta was only $500, and they'll show you how to gain some knowledge without breaking the bank.
All right, guys, I want you to try to contain your enthusiasm because we have one of the most awesome cars we've ever had in this shop.
I know.
Okay, not really. But before you judge, this is a 1999 Jetta 2.0 that was purchased for $500, and it was purchased with a very specific intention, and that was to learn. So the intent was not to buy an awesome car. The intent was to buy a kind of awful car. So there was lots of opportunities to learn.
Okay. I'm a little... Hold on.
Oh, I don't mean Jetta.
I think this car is awesome.
Jettas are awesome.
Okay, so first of all, I've got a soft spot. My first car was a 99 Passat wagon. So 99 Volkswagen Jetta, has a really special place in my heart. This is an excellent car to learn on. And she's a really cool lady. She's mom, she's got 3 young girls, and she's an up-and-coming technician. So just got her first job in the industry. And what a better way to learn than to have your own project.
Kind of first thing we're going to tackle is safety issues, right? Why are we doing stuff if the whole point of this car is for her to learn? But we want to make sure that she's at least still safe while she's learning.
Right, so we just want to make sure that she can enjoy driving it around and be safe.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So, shall we dig into stuff?
Yes. All right, so barely into this project, and we're already noticing a bunch of safety concerns. But that's kind of to be expected for a car that's been sitting for so long. First thing we notice is some obvious dry rotting of this tire. Just the tread separating quite a bit. And then Bogi pointed out, she's like, these tires are from 2004. So clearly.
They're babies. Plenty of tread left.
I mean,
just kidding.
Just because there's plenty of tread life left does not mean
they're
that
good.
The tire is safe. Right. Holds air, good tread, doesn't mean the tire's good. Another thing we noticed, you may see that there is one pathetic little lug bolt remaining. This is something that, happens. You may run into. So we've already tried to get the socket on, and someone in the previous life of this vehicle has rounded it off. So we're going to get a little aggressive on it.
Yes. So very few options when this happens. You can, in theory, weld something to it and then try to take it off that way. You can do what we love to do. Attack it with an air hammer, with a chisel and just drive the thing out of there.
Yeah, now this may or may not work. A little indent here so that I have somewhere to grip. And I also want to be really careful, obviously, because this is very wide. And we've got really nice factory aluminum wheels here. So I'm going to go ahead and get a nice deep ridge there. And then I'm going to go in with the direction of rotation now that I've got that ridge. Did it look like it was turning, or am I just destroying it?
You're just destroying it. It's so soft. So the other option is you just grind the down completely.
Wheel, and then,
and then extract it, which may wind up happening because this is just such soft metal, just going right through it.
Yeah.
Well, that took longer than it should have. It is normally a one-person job, but in this case, it was 2. So, yeah, you want to tell me what happened?
Yeah, so, as you can see, there's a little bit of damage done to this poor little thing. So we've got 2 different styles of lug bolts that have been used on this wheel. We've got this one, which is a very solid head.
Yes.
And then, of course, unfortunately, the one with the hollow head, kind of like this one that's already on there, actually identical to that one that's already on there, was the one that we were fighting. So in our attempt to air hammer and chisel it off, we ended up chiseling most of the head off. Then finally got to this part where there's a little bit more meat, and we're able to get a socket on there. As you can tell from the wide array of tools used.
We tried all of the things. But you know what? There's a lesson in that too, right? Part of working cars in general is all right, we know what we're trying to do. Sometimes that first attempt doesn't work, so we try to find a different way, and then a different way, and then a different way until you finally get to the end goal. In this case, we tried about 14 ways, but the moral of the story is we got there.
Yes!
And there's really no one way of doing it. The one way of doing it is the one that works. So we did heat, we did hammers, we did 2 different types of air hammers, but we won. Yes. That's what matters.
Good thing replacing these, because mine is fighting me a little bit for sure. We're good. Let's swap this out. Yeah, that was interesting.
I'm just sticking that right in there.
Stick it right in there, folks.
Right
Stick
in
it right in
there.
there. Actually, these bearings are pretty stout.
Normally taking the wheels off is the easy part, and taking the rusty brakes off is the hard part. This time, it was vice versa. The brakes were really easy to get off.
I know, that was like a little loose. My side was a little loose. Very weird.
But we are replacing everything. We've got new pads, we've got new rotors, and we have brand new calipers, and we have a new master cylinder because there's a very, very visible leak coming out of it. All of the paint's getting chewed up around it.
Right.
And complete revamp of the whole system.
Totally. And that was her main complaint about the brakes to the floor. Massive spongy pedal. So normally that indicates that either the brake fluid is contaminated, there is air or moisture or something in the fluid, or the fluid is going somewhere.
Leaving the system.
Exactly. In this case, it was an easy visual diagnosis. That does not mean that there's not anything worse happening in the system that we haven't discovered yet. It just means that that is at least one of the problems.
Totally.
So, also, we're going ahead and replacing these calipers. One thing that we noticed, actually, on Bogi's side, it was sticking. I'm going to see what we've got going on with this side. But at least on Bogi's side, a quick way to... Oh, no, it's totally on my side, too.
Yeah.
As I'm going to compress the caliper piston in, it goes like really easy, super smooth, like it is right now, to then... Okay, now it's going to be a little bit more easy, but at first it had it was resistance. Yeah, so a lot of times there can be some sort of sediment or buildup or even leaking around the caliper piston. But in this case, both of us had some seizing issues on both of our calipers, so good to replace. And looks like you got some sort of uneven wear on the rotor that came off of your side too.
Yeah, it's all a hot mess. I did go ahead and get this cleaned off as much as I could, just with a wire wheel and quick strip disc to make sure that it was as clean as we possibly could, short of sandblasting it.
Yeah, well, I've got to sort of pass the catch up and get my side done. So, with that being said, we'll see you back here in a minute, and we're going to get started on replacing these brakes.
Let's do it.
All right, excellent.
You got to clean yours up first.
I
Don't go
know.
anywhere with that rotor, Missy.
Well, your climate control module went out, and the dealership wants to charge you $600 to replace it. And maybe you don't have time to go searching through a salvage yard for a replacement unit and really don't want to take the risk of a used one. Check out Dorman Products' line of brand new HVAC modules. They are identical in appearance to the factory module, retaining the original look and feel. And these modules are assembled and tested right here in America, ensuring stringent quality control. The best part about these modules is the unique software that automatically configures the unit to the vehicle as soon as you plug it in. So it requires no manual setup. So before you hand your wallet over to your local dealership, check out Dorman's website and see what they have to offer for your vehicle.
That's amazing, Faye. You need to come and see this.
Oh my god.
Tell me what's wrong with this picture. There's supposed to be pads in there.
Yeah. Oh my god. And this is where out and
So what we have here, and oddly, I've seen this more than once. I don't know I don't know exactly what happened, how this happened, but there is neither a front pad or a rear pad. See how the piston is actually sitting in there sideways, and the boot is all distorted from brake fluid. And then look at this. The entire bolt and slide that is supposed to be down here is missing, and part of it is broken off inside the spindle. So, apparently the other source of our brake fluid leak. So these brakes were real bad.
I'm just gonna say that's probably why your e-brake didn't work either.
I would imagine so.
Well, looks like we're checking
so.
more things off the list today.
Yeah, all right. Well, killing multiple birds with one stone. I'm gonna get this thing torn apart.
Okay, sounds good.
Good Lord.
I got brake pads on my side though.
Well, that's good. That's an improvement.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's not what that's supposed to look like. Yeah. Alright. clever tool, if you haven't seen one before, is one of my favorites. This is an impact driver. You can use it with just about any type of socket. It's really great for like Phillips heads and standard heads that you need to get some extra force behind. Kind of old school way of doing it would be to take a screwdriver that has a wrench end here that you can put a wrench on, and then tap on it while turning on that. It gives you kind of extra leverage and gets that resonant frequency in there, and the impact will allow it to come out. But this makes it super easy. You can put it on or reverse, smack the end of it, and with force, it turns it with that kind of jarring motion. Works really, really well, especially on a car like this with a ton of rust. We have good news about our brake situation, though. There was a bolt back here that was broken off, which is why the caliper was sitting all cockeyed and why the piston was able to come out and why the pads were able to completely disappear. Thought we were going to have to drill some stuff out, because remember up front, that was part of the spindle, but back here, it is not. It is a separate bracket, and we don't need to drill anything out because our lovely new caliper came with a lovely new bracket. So total win. Just going to get that bracket out of there. And these brakes should go together relatively easily compared to the front ones. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Whew. That should be enough. All right. So, you might be wondering what I'm doing. Welding, trying to get brakes off. Well, the inside, round on the outside, and because of the exhaust, there's nowhere to hammer anything into it. So the easiest way was to weld something to it and then use that as the way to get it out of there. Hopefully, this will be all that we need to do to get it out of there. But, realistically, this is the kind of stuff that comes up when you're working on a project car, right? A vehicle that has so many things wrong with it, that's been sitting for so long. None of this is uncommon stuff. And what's really cool about projects like this, having a DIY project for yourself, is that you really get to learn all of the things. And all of these things are things that are going to happen on any project throughout your life, throughout your career. You just kind of get to deal with it all at once with a car like this. But all of those lessons, all of those skills you learn trying to fix things that you've broken or that you find broken, you're going to use those skills again and again. So tons of learning opportunities. You just got to be willing to know that it's not always going to be an easy path.
And the reason why it's important to clean off the surface, especially because it's really rusty, is to make sure that this surface is totally flat, so that when I install my rotor, the rotor is sitting totally flush. Sometimes rust can cause this rotor to sit a little bit cockeyed and you can't notice, and that can cause premature wear of the brake pads by causing a little bit of run out, and it can also feel like warped rotors, and they're going to have to do the brake job all over again. So it's just a little bit of preventive maintenance. Gotta make sure those little clips are sitting right, hold them into place. Nice, okay, there we go.
Faye and Bogi have the rear brakes back together and looking brand new on this learning project Jetta. Next, they'll complete the brake job by swapping out the master cylinder and bleeding the brakes.
If you've noticed that your vehicle is running rough, down on power, or maybe has poor fuel efficiency, it could be a sign that you have a buildup of deposits inside your engine on parts like fuel injectors, valves, pistons, piston rings. You can remove these deposits and restore performance with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme once every 10,000 miles. This one-tank treatment contains powerful detergents, including what's known as a PEA detergent. And that's going to deep clean your fuel system and restore performance. Hot Shot Secret has seen tests that resulted in almost 8% better fuel economy after using this fuel treatment.
Okay. Welcome back to All Girls. Bogi and I wrapped up our complete brake job in the front and the rear, and although we did put the box out of the way, we can show you that the original master cylinder was leaking as well. We can tell that because there's some missing paint on the brake booster, where the master cylinder was clearly leaking out of one of these rear seals, and brake fluid was running down the booster and stripping all of that paint off. So we knew this was going to be one of the problems. And I've just filled our reservoir with brake fluid because I'm going to bench bleed the master cylinder here on the bench outside of the car before I install it. And if you've worked on one of these cars before, then you know that these are a total pain in the butt to bleed the brakes on, especially if you've let air go into the system, if it's not a full system to begin with. So I'm just going to make this as easy as possible for myself. So what I've done here is, you can tell, I've got our whole kit out, and I just had to find the fittings that worked, that threaded in where our brake lines would thread in. Then I've got some clear tubing. You can just get this either as part of a kit or from an aquarium store. It's like aquarium tubing, and put that back in the system. Then I'm just going to take out this little protective boot here and act as if I'm pressing the brake pedal. And I'm just going to keep on pumping this until I stop seeing air come out of the master cylinder. This is in, pulled, kind of waiting for all those bubbles to come out so I don't suck more back in. A little bit is inevitable. I'm just going to keep on pumping this until I don't see any more air come back out, and then it'll be ready to install. Got that guy on there. Got my finger blocking off this. Centering it in the hole. And then twisting it to get perfect. Right onto my towel. Nice quick transition.
The brakes are all wrapped up, and all that's left is a cosmetic fix to the grill. And the girls are ready to see if this test car can actually go down the road safely.
Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Bogi and I finally wrapped up the brake job. Well, aside from bleeding, and obviously we're going to go for a test drive and break in the new brakes. But one thing, while we were at a salvage yard sort of looking for some other parts of the car, we had found another grill. We had found several other grills. They were all broken the same way that hers was. We actually found hers in the trunk, and we're like, you know what? We're just going to do a little bit of a favor for her and just not only make the thing a little bit more functional for her, but also make it look a little bit better. Are you messing around with the grill right now? Well, don't forget that this is her project car, and she's already done a ton herself. She's very capable. She's already replaced the radiator. She got it running on her own. She replaced the alternator. She did an oil change, spark plug, a whole bunch of stuff she's done already. This is just something that I think is kind of an awesome DIY for y'all folks at home, and also allows us to keep the car original. This grill is the original grill to the car. It's going to match the paint, and I think it's just going to be a nice surprise for her. So
yeah, it's a nice little surprise, and it's awesome for us to be able to show you. I mean, look, we've showed you a bunch of little tips and tricks throughout this episode. Lots of things that you're going to run into in the real world.
And this.
Realistically, this is something that we run into, right? Plastic stuff gets old and it breaks, and I don't know about you, but I use Gorilla Glue a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So this is not a foreign concept. This is a valuable tool in your toolbox. So what we're going to use here is Gorilla 2-part epoxy. This is a really cool product. It is a really strong bond. It's a permanent adhesive, and it's great for stuff like this. Plastic, but all sorts of other materials as well.
And also, it sets in only 5 minutes, so we're not going to be here all day, taping it in all sort of creative ways to hold it into place. We'll be able to just get this done and get this thing on in the time that it's taking us to sort of drain out some of that fluid.
Unlike lots of other products, it comes with this cool little cap, which means you don't have to use it or lose it kind of situation. You use it, you can put it back in your toolbox, and it's ready for you again when you need it again. It doesn't dry up. So that's cool.
Yep, and we already went ahead and did all surface preps. Yes. You can see that I scuffed here. I cleaned with some alcohol, and now it's ready. So I scuffed both sides, and I think I actually mixed. I got a little excited, and I think I mixed up enough for both of us. But I just really want this to stick. Okay,
I appreciate you mixing some for me.
No problem.
I think oftentimes products get a bad rep because people don't do proper prep work.
Yep.
Nothing's going to stick to anything if you don't prep it properly. So make sure you do that. Otherwise, nothing's going to work.
Wow, no joke. It really does set in 5 minutes.
It does. It does. Not
so
bad at all.
Put this in place and have it do the final cure on the car.
Perfect. All right, we gotta make sure we get our fancy hood release
yes, definitely.
In there.
And let up the tabs all nice.
Yep.
Just don't wanna. All right, we nailed that. Nailed that.
Look at that. And it's still has a semi-functional hood release.
You call that a hood release? All right,
we're gonna leave on her checklist.
All right, let's get this car down and let's finish bleeding those brakes.
Sounds like a plan. All right, brakes, check. Everything else, that's on her. There's obviously a ton more work that this car needs, but that's kind of what this is all about, right? Learning things that are broken, things that need fixed, tons of learning opportunity on this car.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And can you imagine, like, how discouraged she could have gotten running in experience? Right. But in this case, sometimes there's those things, especially on a car like this. And, you know, this is kind of a good opportunity for us to show you, like, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that happens on a lot of vehicles, a lot of project cars. Not every project's going to go smoothly. Just because we get some of this stuff done in 22 minutes doesn't mean that you always see the struggles that go through getting those jobs done. So
Totally. It can be really discouraging.
It's a nice little contrast to some of the stuff we normally do on here.
You see it look really easy for us, and then you go home to your own projects and get really discouraged.
Yeah,
No, it is challenging. It is always challenging. So,
absolutely. Well, at least, or we gotta buy a few more bolts. We're gonna get that other wheel on, and then we can actually test and see if these brakes work as well as we hope that they will.
I mean, they should. Come on.
And then, you know, we'll be able to send her home with a laundry list of some more things that she can do on her own and what would be sort of good in the full scheme of things. So overall, I think this is an awesome project car.
Really
I'm stoked for her.
I am too. It's gonna be a fun one. By the time she's done with this, she will be a master technician.
Yeah. Well, it takes 10 years to master anything, so they say. It might take 10 years to finish this car.
All right, but we don't have long, so we're going to let you guys go
on.
and we will see you next time.
All right, bye.